Yep, on with the next step, pathway 3. Now, first of all, I may have misspoken. I'm using coir at the moment, even though peat is slightly better than coir, and newspaper cellulose are basically about the same, basically. So newspaper cellulose there is basically the same as coir. Now, we've learnt from the double flush that just putting a thin layer of either newspaper cellulose, peat or coir on the surface of a bucket of sand, that you can get all your growth from just a very thin layer, just enough to stop rain splash or scouring of the surface layer of peat, coir or newspaper cellulose. And also we learnt from that the pot is basically anaerobic. About an inch down it's all anaerobic sort of thing. That's also another reason why we're using the polystyrene, because it generates reductive flammable gas by the easy water process, the physical electrostatic splitting of the water, which keeps the pot anaerobic, you see. It's also a good insulator, so you might want to think about that for Darlingtonia. Just a hint there. But today, I'm just going to show you, you may get a little bit of crinkling on the top of your pits from the salt sort of thing. But you can always water. But you've probably noticed from this one, if I'm on spot cullen, yes, I think I'm on spot cullen, we're already starting to get expansion of the growth bud there, even though they're supposed to be dormant. You see, I reckon they're not actually dormant. They're a bit like you know, a plum tree, all those sort of birch trees and things like that. When they're not actually got leaves on them, you can actually notice the bark changing over time. So they're actually changing, they're actually growing, even though they're not doing anything substantial physically. They're actually fattening up. Now I reckon they do more growing during that, as long as it doesn't go below 0 degrees, because it hardly ever goes below 0 degrees here, and we only get like snow on the top of Mount Lofty every 25, 50, 100 years for 3 days sort of thing. In between we can have it like half a day, 2 days, 3 days, but it's 3 days of snow on the top of Mount Lofty. It's every like 25, 50, 100 years sort of thing, so far from the records anyway. So if it gets a bit dry, you're worried about the crinkling, you might want to look at the crinkling on other people's collections to tell whether they're actually using salt or not. Anyway, you can just 8, 9, 10, about 10 I reckon for that. It will start to, and then it disappears, so it depends on, you got to get it just right as well. And if your pitchers get a bit full, give them a tap. Just knock that excess water out so they don't either rot at night time or keel over from the weight sort of thing. So you might want to knock a bit of that out sort of thing if you're watering like that. Okay, well I think that's about it. As you can see with this dandelion there, it's not wilting, so that's good. And the Grevillea robusta, the largest member of the Proteaceae, a street tree that can grow from a seedling to a giant tree in about 7 years on swampy ground, maybe salty swampy ground. So anyway, we'll move on to the next stage now, okay, which will be over here, and I'll talk about this and the quantities and things like that. Okay, over and out.